job. And sometimes, they don't get recognized enough. It's something we can do to give back, to the teacher and to the schools for what they do. The tournaments, Bishikea and Diamond are real proud to be here presenting this car for the teacher here to drive for the year.
Every year we do this clinical supply donation to 23 schools, and our team that works in our material unit is so fabulous about helping us make sure that it gets distributed in the cars. We're happy to help the schools in our community provide clinical help to our students.
Means the world to us because we get an opportunity to help with boo-boos that happen during the day, and it just makes it a lot more easier for our nurse, and so we can care for our students.
Hi, my name is Adrian Avram. I went to Blue Lake Elementary, DeLand Middle, and Mainland High School. I was a very shy kid, so Blue Lake really helped me break out of that shell and be more vocal and interact better with people. They had the Academy of Multimedia Technology where they did graphics design and networking, and that's what really pulled me into my career choice now. My teachers would always tell me that anything is possible as long as I put my mind to it and didn't give up. I could achieve it. I just had to keep working towards it and not giving up when things got hard. I have a 4-year-old son who is currently going to Indian River, and I have a 2-year-old daughter who will be following shortly behind him. I can think of no better place for my kids to receive a superior 21st century education.
I'm Chandler Powers. I'm a student at University High School, and I'm also a young entrepreneur. The beginning process is the most important process, which is planning what you're going to do onto the canvas, and from there it helps you understand what you're going to do. These 9/11 cleats, they're brave. The reason is what I used. The brave stands for those who fought for us and helped us through these tragedy times, and the reason is the reason we are alive today.
Academics are very important to him, and the amazing thing is I never even have to tell him to do homework. It just makes me proud that he knows the priorities in life and he has no problem getting them all done. He went to a leadership and vision program at Yale University where he learned all about business entrepreneurship.
I felt that it was a great opportunity to meet new people and get to know what the meaning is behind business and getting ideas out there and what the process is into getting into that. My number one takeaway was marketing it and getting it out there for those, and really the main way to start is what is really needed in the world. Just seeing my work out there just makes me happy, and just see how good of a job I've done or how I feel I've done wants me to keep going and striving to be the best I can be.
So let's give him a warm welcome and a good round of applause. I'm going to race the Advent Health car this weekend in the class race at Daytona. My nerves are a little high of the questions that you might ask, because I know the questions that my kids ask in this situation.
What type of foods do you eat leading up to the race?
It's super hot inside the car, and the races are really long. So how you fuel your body can make a huge difference in the outcome of your race and how you feel during the race. Hydration is one of the hardest things for us in getting enough water in. I drink water basically 100% of my day.
At that age, you're so young that if you can learn the proper way to eat and the proper way to exercise, and then you live your life that way, it's much easier than if it gets out of control and 10 years down the line then you're trying to get it back. So if you can teach someone at this age the importance of nutrition and exercise, it's just makes your life so much easier.
Students are coming up saying, is there a NASCAR driver coming? Is someone coming today? Like, who is it? Who's coming? So even students that aren't into NASCAR are saying things like, I'm not into driving, but I'm so excited. Like, I see that over and over again, and it's really just hysterical, because I feel so fortunate and overjoyed to have this opportunity.
My name's Taylor Duguay. I work at the United Way at Volusia Flagler Counties as our impact and marketing strategist. I think the most influential teacher I ever had was Mrs. Linda Cuthbert, who now of course sits on our school board. She really helped me figure out what I wanted to do in life, especially in politics and caring for our community. She told me one time, if you don't like something, change it. And that really set me on my path to where I am today, and why I'm still in Volusia County and why I work in nonprofit.
Oh man, I think I was pretty nerdy. It's usually what runs through my mind when I look back at my high school stuff.
I got a very high quality education through Volusia County schools. I know that the reason I can stand in front of a group of 500 people and speak clearly and get my point across is because of the skills I started developing in 6th grade with my speech class. My path in life that I've developed is because of those relationships I made through Volusia County schools and that connection I built. So Volusia County schools really did prepare me for my job now and for my career, which involves a lot of writing, communication, critical thinking, public speaking, interpersonal skills that really I developed through Volusia County schools.
I know he has helped hundreds of students. He has helped hundreds of students get scholarships, and he has worked to change lives. And that is why he is Volusia County's Teacher of the Year.
It's a humbling thing to be chosen as Teacher of the Year. I do get to share, what we're doing here at Taylor in the Avid program and at Taylor in general, and speak for publication. I do get to do that, and I really want to, but the reason that I'm being honored for this is because my students did what I asked them to. That's really all it was. And, I see some of my seniors here in the front, and I really haven't thought too much about this because they are working on scholarships this week and all those sorts of things. So I really want to, all this accolade, whether you believe I'm saying it or not, I mean it. This is about you guys because you guys put me here. So thank you.
Teachers, they have a very difficult job, and sometimes, they don't get recognized enough. It's something we can do to give back, to the teacher and to the schools for what they do. They turn them at special care, and I'm real proud to be here presenting this car for the teacher here to drive for the
supply donation to 23 schools, and our team that works in our material unit is so fabulous helping us make sure that it gets distributed in the cars. We're happy to help the schools in our community provide clinical help to our students.
Means the world to us because we get an opportunity to help with boo-boos that happen during the day, and it just makes it a lot more easier for our nurse, and so we can care for our students.
Hi, my name is Adrian Avram. I went to Blue Lake Elementary, DeLand Middle, and Mainland High School. I was a very shy kid. So Blue Lake really helped me break out of that shell and be more vocal and interact better with people. At the Academy of Multimedia Technology, where they did graphics design and networking, and that's what really pulled me into my career choice now. My teachers would always tell me that anything is possible as long as I put my mind to it and didn't give up. I could achieve it. I just had to keep working towards it and not giving up when things got hard. I have a 4-year-old son who is currently going to Indian River, and I have a 2-year-old daughter who is following shortly behind him. I have no better place for my kids to receive a superior 21st century education.
I'm Chandler Powers. I'm a student at University High School, and I'm also a young entrepreneur. The beginning process is the most important process, which is planning what you're going to do onto the canvas, and from there it helps you understand what you're going to do. These 9/11 cleats, they're brave. The reason is what I used. The brave stands for those who fought for us and helped us through these tragedy times, and the reason is the reason we are alive today.
Academics are very important to him, and the amazing thing is I never even have to tell him to do homework. It just makes me proud that he knows the priorities in life and he has no problem getting them all done. He went to a leadership and vision program at Yale University where he learned all about business entrepreneurship.
I felt that it was a great opportunity to meet new people and get to know what the meaning is behind business and getting ideas out there and what the process is into getting into that. My number one takeaway was marketing it and getting it out there for those, and really the main way to start is what is really needed in the world. Just seeing my work out there just makes me happy, and just see how good of a job I've done or how I feel I've done wants me to keep going and striving to be the best I can be.
So let's give him a warm welcome and a good round of applause. I'm going to race the Advent Health car this weekend in the class race at Daytona. My nerves are a little high of the questions that you might ask, because I know the questions that my kids ask in this situation.
What type of foods do you eat leading up to the race?
It's super hot inside the car, and the races are really long. So how you fuel your body can make a huge difference in the outcome of your race and how you feel during the race. Hydration is one of the hardest things for us in getting enough water in. I drink water basically 100% of my day.
At that age, you're so young that if you can learn the proper way to eat and the proper way to exercise, and then you live your life that way, it's much easier than if it gets out of control and 10 years down the line then you're trying to get it back. So if you can teach someone at this age the importance of nutrition and exercise, it's just makes your life so much easier.
Students are coming up saying, is there a NASCAR driver coming? Is someone coming today? Like, who is it? Who's coming? So even students that aren't into NASCAR are saying things like, I'm not into driving, but I'm so excited. Like, I see that over and over again, and it's really just hysterical, because I feel so fortunate and overjoyed to have this opportunity to participate in this.
My name's Taylor Dugay. I work at the United Way of Volusia Flagler Counties as our impact and marketing strategist. I think the most influential teacher I ever had was Mrs. Linda Cuthbert, who now of course sits on our school board. She really helped me figure out what I wanted to do in life, especially in politics and caring for our community. She told me one time, if you don't like something, change it. And that really set me on my path to where I am today, and why I'm still in Volusia County and why I work in nonprofit.
Oh man, I think I was pretty nerdy. It's usually what runs through my mind when I look back at my high school stuff.
I got a very high quality education through Volusia County schools. I know that the reason I can stand in front of a group of 500 people and speak clearly and get my point across is because of the skills I started developing in 6th grade with my speech class. My path in life that I've developed is because of those relationships I made through Volusia County schools and that connection I built. So Volusia County schools really did prepare me for my job now and for my career, which involved a lot of writing, communication, critical thinking, public speaking, interpersonal skills that really I developed through Volusia County schools.
I know he has helped hundreds of students. He has helped hundreds of students get scholarships, and he has worked to change lives. And that is why he is Volusia County's Teacher of the Year.
It's a humbling thing to be chosen as Teacher of the Year. I do get to share, what we're doing here at Taylor in the Avid program.
Minute.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Volusia County School Board meeting. This one's kind of special because we're only going to be dealing with one topic tonight and one topic only, and that is the discussion of new schedules for elementary, middle, and high school students. We welcome everyone in the audience and as well as people listening on the internet. And now would you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once again, good evening, everyone, and let me begin by introducing everyone that's around me this evening. Let's start with our agency clerk tonight for a change. That is Miss Connie Spire, and next to Miss Spire is our school board member from District 1, Miss Jamie Haynes, and next to Miss Haynes, our vice chair of the school board, Miss Ida Wright from District 2. Our superintendent is here, Mr. James T. Russell. Next to me over here is Mr. Ted Doran, our school board attorney. Next to Mr. Doran is Mr. Ruben Colon, representing District 5. And next to Mr. Colon, our school board member from District 3, Miss Linda Cuthbert. My name is Carl Persis, and I have the honor of serving as the chair this year. Once again, welcome everyone. Glad you're here. We only have one item for approval on this agenda, as I said earlier, and that's item 4.01, and we're going to have public participation time. My understanding is we have about 7 cards. Let me just say, while I'm getting the cards, we had a workshop this afternoon at 2 o'clock, and a very productive workshop. And we went through all the data and had a lot of information. Board gave great comments, and we challenged our transportation department to come up with something between the end of the workshop and the beginning of the meeting. So I hope they have some good news for us. And so let's go ahead and get started. I remind you, those of you who are speaking, to make your comments purely to this topic, okay? We're only about this topic this evening, okay? So let's begin with Miss Albert. Miss Albert, who was with us through the workshop and a member of the committee who helped, did a great job coming up with these proposed schedules and sifting through all the data. That was tough, I know. Welcome.
Thank you. Elizabeth Albert, 903 Dever Lane, Ormond Beach. Good afternoon, Chairman Persis, board members, Superintendent Russell, and members of the audience. I'm speaking to you now as the proud president of the Volusia United Educators, representing more than 3,760 instructional and support professionals. We've just spent a very interesting time together, and as you have experienced the difficulty that the members of the committee experienced while working to create the proposals that were submitted in the survey. Someone I deeply respect once said, "Change is inevitable, but pain is optional." If this change is inevitable, I urge you, most sincerely urge you, to listen to the employees who voted overwhelmingly to delay the implementation. As you've noticed, the devil is in the details. And I want to respectfully push back on the comment that was made to the effect that the time you show up for work is the time you show up for work. Well, let's consider for a moment the supervisory issue alone. Based upon the budgetary information shared on Tuesday by Ms. Mueller, it seems doubtful that there will be funding available to supplement the necessary supervisory positions at each site. Let's also remember the comment shared by Ms. Fisher related to extended day. As previously discussed, these programs are already over capacity and finding staff is currently a hardship. Let's think about the rollout of the ERP and SIS systems, the mandatory mental health trainings, and the 2 new curriculums plus social studies at the elementary level, and all of the site-based initiatives that will occur across the district. Is this something that we must do now? I believe that we have reached the saturation point. We should identify our priorities and acknowledge what is important. And when has a dollar ever been more important than the welfare and the education of our children? I ask you once again to consider delaying this change, as it may be inevitable, but it absolutely does not need to cause pain. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Albert, and thank you again for your hard work on the committee. Our next speaker is Mr. Phil Madsen. They're adjusting the microphones here for you, Mr. Madsen. You must be someone special, you know. They don't do that for everybody. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I'm Phil Madsen, an Edgewater resident. When I last spoke here, I urged you to adopt option 1 and 2 as they provide later school start times for teen students. That gives them more and healthier sleep and a host of accompanying benefits. Those include improved grades, graduation rates, and extracurricular performance, and fewer student fights, fewer sports injuries, fewer teen driving accidents, and reduced risk of depression and suicide. We know this is true because we see it in districts that have adopted start times of 8:30 or later. We know this is their best start time because the American Academy of Pediatrics, American Medical Association, National Education Association, and a host of other such organizations say it is. Visiting individually with some of you, I am delighted to learn you understand the sleep science and student benefits just mentioned. I thank you for being mindful of this absolutely critical student health component of the larger debate. Having spoken in favor of later start times, I'd also like to speak against option 3, which starts high school at 7 a.m. That's a horrific choice that would be harmful to students and potentially embarrassing for you. Of the 431 Florida public schools, high schools, that list their schedules on their websites, only 4.6% start school at 7 a.m. or before. If you adopt option 1, you will place Volusia in the unpopular, unwise, and early extreme. You would also make Volusia County immediately interesting to sleep scientists, doctors, and researchers worldwide. They know districts that adopt later start times produce positive statistics. Is the reverse also true? If the district moves in the opposite direction and forces its students to wake even earlier, do the performance indicators degrade? If you move our high school start time to 7 a.m., you will provide these sleep professionals with a rare and fascinating opportunity to find out. Volusia's notoriety in that regard will grow, but not for the reasons we want. As you well know, any schedule change you adopt will require county-wide adjustments in school, family, work, business, and social life. If you're going to put all of us through all of that, let's make it count for more than better bus schedules and the longer elementary day. Let's give our kids the advantages and the wins other kids get whose districts allow them to sleep.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And our next speaker is Miss Amy Dorton. Come on down.
I'm the next contestant.
You are.
We don't have to do the address thing? Okay.
No.
Hi guys, how's it going?
It's going great.
First I want to say this is hard, and I understand that this is hard. I can appreciate the fact that this is incredibly difficult decision for the board. One of the things I do want to push back on that I heard during the workshop was that statutorily it is the parent's responsibility what happens to their child before they get to school. If my child is standing at a bus stop, I understand that legally the school isn't responsible for what happens to that child. But a child being hit by a car and killed because they're standing at a dark bus stop and they're 5 years old and don't know what to do, I'd feel pretty bad about that, even if it's not legally our responsibility. So I certainly think that whether legally or not we're responsible for that, we're responsible for that. Another thing I'd like to comment on is this is a very big decision. This impacts not just our students and our teachers. This literally impacts every citizen in Volusia County. This is going to impact traffic patterns. It's going to impact how they staff the local publics. It's going to impact after-school care. It's going to impact sports and recreation facilities. It's going to impact small businesses, students with jobs. This is a big deal. I implore you to delay this decision, give it an opportunity for us to do a real study. Spend a little money, do a real study to look into what the best option is for our children. They deserve more than let's throw together a committee and have some meetings and see what we can come up with. Our children deserve us to actually put in the work to figure out what is best for everyone involved. Buses and money should not be the decision here. If we need to hire more bus drivers, maybe we should pay them a little bit more money so people might want to drive buses for us. It's kind of a concept that, you know, businesses do when they're having trouble finding employees. But this is a huge deal. I'd hate for us to make a decision just for the sake of making one and then decide next year when we've changed the lives of everyone in Volusia County that we really didn't make the right one. Let's take the time and figure out what we should really do and what's best for our kids.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Ms. Kim Short. Good evening.
Good evening. Hi. Okay,
kind of pull the mics in a little bit closer.
We don't say our address anymore. Okay.
There you go.
I agree with everything that was said. I thought that the workshop was great. I think you guys are all doing a great job. I'd like to also comment that I really appreciate everybody who did work on these committees because I know that they worked extraordinarily hard to get these times put together. Mr. Persis, I really did love your ideas, as I loved looking at Brevard's times. I wish we could have those. I think ultimately I'm still, as I had said to the school board on February 12th, I'd like to see a delay. And I'd like to see a delay because when I look at how I feel like we should have been doing things, I think we did it a little backwards. I personally have a huge problem with the fact that we still don't even know what we're doing with the 30 minutes of the elementary school day, and now we've got some new information that was finally come to light tonight about the fact that it isn't even really about that. It's a lot about the money. You know, when I want to do something to my home or to anything, I want to say, this is what my vision is. This is absolutely what I want. And I want to come together with my husband and we sit down and we decide whatever it is that we want to do, let's say, in a reno. And maybe that's what I would like to see our board come up with, because I think that if you guys all sat there, you would have come up with times that the majority of the public would have felt like, it's not a big deal, this is great, this is going to benefit our high school students. I think your mind and your hearts are in the right place right now. I think that wanting our students to get more sleep is important, not touching our elementary school students. Everything seems very cohesive with this group and what you want to do for students. The problem is that what's being presented to you, I don't feel like that's exactly in the same place. And so choosing something that's not the right thing to do is a surefire way for me to say it's going to fail. You know, finding out what it is that we can agree on first and then saying to somebody, how much is this going to cost me? can we do this? Like, are you guys, can we afford to do this? Or do we all agree we want to spend the money on this? It's going to come away from something else. Is this that important to us? Those are the conversations I think that I'd like to be hearing from our school board members. Not, well, I guess we got to make a choice. Let's pick one of these. Yeah, it's going to hurt somebody, but that's okay. Like, that's not what I want to hear as a parent. So I'm again urging you to please delay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Short. And Ms. Comiskey. Mary Kate. Yes. Yes. Thank you for your service on the committee as well.
They were great to work with.
Here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mary Kate Comiskey. I go by Kate. If you call me Mary Kate, I'll call you Mom. Don't do that. I appreciate you taking our words tonight. I was here for the workshop. I want to say a few things. I've been with the district since 1967 in one form or another. I'm very vested in Volusia County Schools, and I think you are the best board we have ever had in my lifetime. The best superintendent. I trust you. I trust you with this task. I think you're up to it, okay? A couple of just points of correction. The facilitators were Miss Albert, Rachel Hazel, and Mr. Aiken, and the committee members. We didn't have to work as hard as they did. They did an incredible job presenting the information. You got a taste of it from Greg today. And so you got a taste of what kind of task we had. I want to remind you of a few things. And really this is for the public. I know you guys know this, but you have two jobs. You make policy, and I believe you supervise Mr. Russell. I think that's it, right? That's your job. I understand why you, as people who have been elected by the populace, want to know what your people want. But once we elect you, we trust you to make that decision. I understand why you did the survey. I appreciate the way you did the workshop by taking what we recommend and realizing it's just a recommendation. And you guys can tweak it, can do what's best for students. I think in the media, even in the committee, I think we lost sight of some things, and we need to remember. I have been here when Volusia was excellent. I mean, excellent. I mean, I skipped some classes in grad school because of my high school education at New Smyrna, and my department chair told me that. I think we can be excellent again. But we're not going to be excellent unless we focus on the academic needs of students. With all of these extraneous concerns, like daycare. School is not daycare. I understand the concerns for children. I agree. I think number one needs to be safety, and we need later times. That's priority. Number two needs to be academics. And we need to be at the forefront of education with excellence. We need to be pioneers here, no matter what our financial constraints are. And we know that the adolescent brain works better no matter how much sleep it's had later in the day. We need to remember the lower quartile. The students who want an earlier start time are the students who are already going to graduate well. We need to work on that lower quartile, and I teach those kids. They need to go later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Comiskey, and thank you again for your service. Karen, I can't. Weimar. Thank you, Karen, for your help, and good evening, Karen. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
There goes Fox.
There goes Fox. Hi, I'm Karen Weinrich. I teach first grade at Spruce Creek Elementary School, and I was a member of the Elementary School Day Committee. And I'm speaking today to encourage you to delay implementation of the school schedules. I was here at the workshop. Throughout the workshop, I was honestly a little frustrated listening to the discussion. The committee, we spent at least 12 hours working diligently on different options. And just today, I heard that your priorities are keeping elementary school time the same or later and moving high school to a later start time, which are, honestly are my priorities as well. But we did not realize that as a committee. So I wish we had been made aware of those positions, because I feel like we may have had different outcomes for you. So, because that was not, we're kind of given a blank slate to work with. And how we realized that that's what the direction you wanted us to go, our work would have looked a little different. As I listened to Mr. Persis hash out school times, I felt a sense of deja vu. Because this is exactly what we spent hours and hours and hours working on, and we were all there volunteering our time. And we just kept coming back to the problem of run times for buses. So now the discussion here has led to, okay, well, maybe there's options of adding buses or adding bus drivers. And again, I wish our committee had realized there were other options out there, because again, we might have brought you some different ideas to work with. It's for this reason I urge you to delay, but it's also, there are so many moving parts, and we haven't even talked about the other things that are out there. For example, if middle school starts later, will we have the resources to provide maybe before school clubs for those students whose parents go to work at 7 o'clock? I think that would be awesome. Can we work towards community schools? That's something else we can look at as part of the big picture. Will we be able to expand morning or after school care for the elementary kids? If high school lunch is shortened by 15 minutes, do we have the resources to expand the Schoolway Cafe? You've got to feed those kids faster. Do we have places for them to sit to eat? Part of the reason it's long is because they go off campus, because there's not room for everybody to eat in the cafeteria. What happens to the high schools that use that extra 15 minutes they're going to lose for tutoring? How do we work that in? These are all questions. What about support staff, teachers like myself, who have extra jobs? Any change we make is going to affect all of those things. And until you can answer all of those questions, I don't feel like we should implement the change this year. I think we should look at it, take time to study it, work on those questions, and then delay implementation. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you again for serving on the committee. Ms. White is our last speaker. Okay. He's got it all stabilized for you now, so you can.
Yeah. Got to get the sound going for everybody.
That's right. That's right.
All right. My name is Katie White. I was here for the workshop as well, so hello again.
Hello again.
I urge you to delay as well. There's a lot going on with all the moving pieces, and this does affect not just elementary school, not just the staff at elementary school, but all parts of Volusia County, all parents, jobs, children, etc. There are also some new things going on in the elementary school. We have books finally, because when my child was in elementary school, and she's now in high school, I couldn't help her with her homework, so I'm happy about that. But also, with the new curriculum adjustments, there are some other things that the teachers do need to adjust to give them time to breathe as well, to figure that out. And let them figure out when in this day that they are going to have their 20 minutes of recess. Because my mother was an elementary school teacher, and she always tried to get the kids out as long as possible. And she still got all her guidelines teaching in there as well. If the grades suffer because we didn't add this 30 minutes to the day right away, we can come back to it, we can add it back in, and we've already started working on the bus schedule. There's already a good start going on. If the grades have not been affected, do we really need to add 30 minutes? Is it that important to the day if the grades are doing well and the staff is able to handle all the new changes that are coming down the pipelines? It may not be necessary to change the bus routes and the start times for any of that. That being said, I'm also glad to hear, and so is my high schooler, that one of the options is a later start time. And that's what my mother, the educator, has always said, that the adolescent brain needs a later start, even though when I was in high school, that 7:20 in the morning, Deltona High School, I graduated. So I'm glad to hear about that. Oh, I lost my note. And also, this is kind of a quick change as well, as far as the 30 minutes being added, which is really what has impacted transportation. It took 2 years for everybody in Volusia County to decide on a school uniform. And this has been between the 30 minutes and the bus schedule. We're not even at a year on the time that's being spent on it. So I really think we do need to spend a little more time looking at all the interconnecting pieces to come up with a good solution for all the students and not just the elementary students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes the public hearing part of our school board meeting, and so now we will move on and take action as a board workshop for people of the audience who were not present at the time. And Mr. Aiken, if I could impose on you to come forward while I inform everybody and those listening over the internet. We received all the information about the survey and the comments, and of course the board had received that information a few days ago. Want to just thank, we all want to thank everyone out there who participated in that survey. I think, what did we say, 24,000 and few? Right at 24,000. Yeah, 24,000 people. That's like unprecedented. I mean, it's unbelievable that that many people weighed in on the issue. Students, parents, staff, everybody. So thank you for doing that, and I want to assure you that those that wrote comments too, that we read those comments, and so we just want you to know thank you for participating in that survey. What we did then was, as we looked at all the schedules, we had a lively discussion about transportation runs and transportation times, and how come it takes so long to, between one run and the next run. And Mr. Aiken did a great job explaining all of that to us. And so at the end of the workshop, we gave our transportation officials a bit of a challenge. And it went on the lines, and board members correct me if I'm wrong, but it went on the line something like, if we could keep the elementary school days very similar to what it is now and started the high school day at 8:30 and could start the middle school day as soon as you could after high school, given the time it takes to make the run, could you do that? And at the initial reaction from Mr. Aiken was that was going to probably cost more money, or would need more buses, or would need more drivers, or it would probably take more. And so we asked you to, during that hour and a half that we had of a break,
10 minutes, hour and 10 minutes?
An hour and 10 minutes, excuse me, to crunch the numbers and check with Mitch Moyer and everybody else at transportation. And so I ask you now, with my fingers crossed, do you have any information to share with us?
Yes, sir, I do. Greg Aiken, Chief Operating Officer. I want to thank Mr. Moyer, Ms. Ivy, and Ms. Burris definitely for working with me during that hour and 10 minutes to take what the board asked me to look at. And I have it in front of you currently right now, the request.
So is that what's on the screen?
That's what's on the screen currently right now. And I moved it from that over to here. It's on my computer. So I worked it on my computer. So let me just kind of go over it real quick. You asked us you gave me a leeway of taking away 5 minutes from the current start time from the elementary school. And you wanted me to start with the elementary school being the first school to be served.
That's correct.
And so we looked at 7:50 a.m. bell time with a 2:30 p.m. Dismissal time, which gives us our 6 hours and 40 minutes. On the slide, you can also see on the bottom of it where it says 6 hours and 40 minutes. We have 191 buses currently doing nothing but the elementary schools, right? And so not the +1 schools, but 181 there. Taking that time, and you said you wanted the high school to start at 8:30 or thereabouts, 8:30. And so I took the 8:30 time, and they would get done at 3:30 in the afternoon, which would give them their 7-hour run. We look at the morning time, it gives me approximately 30 minutes. Right now we have about 32 minutes between high school and elementary, if you look at the current time we have to accomplish that. So we would be looking at that, tweaking that, not the time, but our buses, to be able to accommodate that time, that 30 minutes that we have to get from the elementary school to the high school in the morning time. In the afternoon time, they would get out at 3:30, and you can see we have plenty of time in the morning time from high school to get to middle school. 50 minutes is plenty of time. In the afternoon, we get out at 3:30, leave at 3:40. We have 30 minutes to get to the from the high school to the middle school. Once again, I think with the tier process we currently have, we would look at both the morning time for delivery at the high school and the pickup time for the middle school and try to accommodate based on what we would need to make that happen. We think we could do it. We would probably add a couple of routes and be able to accommodate that.
And so to the question, do you see a major budget impact, or are we able to do this within our budget?
So that's going to be my goal. So my move forward would be looking at to make sure that we're cost neutral in transportation. So we would have to look at, right now we have a +1, so we would be looking at what the decision would be for that. Right. It depends on what that +1 decision would be. We could have additional buses there available in the morning time, which would help us out here. Yeah. Same in the afternoon time. All of our buses would be available for high school and middle school. We could expand currently right now. We would just have to get a couple of operators, in my opinion. When we crunch the numbers with transportation, it looks manageable.
Okay. That's awesome. I mean, okay. I thought you were going to say, just can't do it.
$10 million.
No, or worth $10 million. No. The other thing, it appears then that this is, Ms. Cuthbert, just a kind of a tweak of option 1, just a little... Am I correct?
That was going to be my
I think
comment.
Option 1 was
so let me
10
tell you
minutes away from that on the elementary.
So we had the AM bell time was 7:20. So for elementary, we kind of went to 7:40. I'm sorry. And then we had a 9:45 middle school time. The high school stayed the same time. Yeah. So it changed the elementary school by option 1 of what the committee proposed.
Right.
So you guys basically looked at that and wanted me to adjust it, and that's what I adjusted here.
Yeah.
And it did shrink the times, like I said, for the morning and afternoon run. But we transportation will have to look at that, and it takes about 4 minutes off, 2 to 4 minutes off what we currently run today.
Yeah, and I think it's great that the middle school is not really getting out at 4:45 like the other one was. I think that worked out pretty nicely. Well, Mr. Aiken, you are a master here.
All right.
I gotta tell you, I'm really impressed with all of this. Mr. Superintendent, let me ask you, because this certainly affects your whole staff and group, and what are your thoughts on it? You've been a principal for many years.
It gives you enough time with your runs. It's, as we've talked about earlier, it's the cascading events at the PM. So it looks like it'll be tied a little bit with high school and middle school, but they'll do tweaks with that. We had already discussed, I saw that the time that the buses arrive, for instance, at the middle school at 9 o'clock and school starts at 9:30. We had already discussed in November and December, let's say if elementary or middle was in that situation, that you would have, as I believe Ms. White was saying, that's when you would do your tutoring. There would be no more after-school tutoring. You could do your clubs at that time, and we could find ways, to fill those gaps.
Yeah, great.
With that extra time.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go around the room. If you guys have questions or clarifications, Ms. Cuthbert, I'll start with you.
I have a question of Ms. Hazel, if she's able to come up. Hi there. Listening to a lot of the concerns of elementary teachers, how will we reconstruct the elementary curriculum? How will we be able to reconstruct that elementary day? Will it be just up to individual principals? Will it be a uniform district-wide? Who would be in charge of that? And is it feasible to get it done before school starts?
So originally on the slide that had the timeline on it, originally I believe it was at a DAC meeting, we had a second part to that slide, which I didn't share here because we were just discussing times, that talked about the next phase of this. Once we knew start and end times, then we would develop a committee, a joint committee with VIEW, much like this one, but that would just include our elementary teachers. We've had universities that provide us with interns that have expressed interest in participating on the committee as well. and some parent input as well into that committee to look at how we structure the day, because we do have a schedule recommendation guidelines that we send out at the beginning of every year now, but it's based on current times. So that would have to be revised, and we would also just have to make sure that those things which we are funded for, like our reading block, is in compliance with what our reading plan fund is. So that would be the plan. Originally, that committee, and I have one university that calls me all the time and is ready to get to work. Our plan for that committee was originally to start in March, but with the delay of putting the survey out and the recommendation, we would start almost immediately.
Okay, will there be extra plan time, especially this first year coming, especially for elementary teachers to handle learning, the training, using a lot of that PLC times, and also that day in September, that whole day, to help them look at their textbooks, learn their new computer programs. I'm very concerned about not just increasing the academic time with students, but they have additional time that will be eaten up by their before and after school time, which this will do so. Will they have time built in, especially that first year, to handle all that we are asking them to learn?
Well, one of the things that, so the public comments were correct in that the before and after school time, because we're only increasing the teacher day by 15 minutes the first year. The second year, the teacher time would be increased by 30 minutes. So that would right itself then. So that does decrease the time before and after school, which was traditionally considered a planning time. But we did increase the planning time during the day to 45 minutes. So that's a 15-minute increase, or 10 minutes, sorry, 10-minute increase there. It was 35 before. Also, there were many limits that we put on meetings, that we put on supervisory duties. There were a lot of things throughout the negotiations that we met in the middle on to come up with times that would traditionally have been times that could have been taken up. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
I just want guaranteed time for them to not feel additional stress going over textbooks, learning new textbooks, developing new curriculum, adjusting to a new schedule, plus learning the SIS system and the ERP system. So to me, that's an awful lot to swallow. And I would love for them to have dedicated time, and just like the one whole day in September that we have, I mean, that devoted entirely to what they need to accomplish. And not to have principals come in and say, you're going to do this, 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 and this. They need the freedom. They're professionals. I want them to have that professional ability and that expertise to be able to know exactly what they need to do and what they need to learn. And also a support system. So, for example, if Amy Dorton has a difficulty in understanding the ELA, she's a fantastic STEM teacher, so maybe the ELA is causing her a little bit of difficulty. Of course, math wouldn't be, but the ELA could. Who does she call to get some help? Because I really want a support system especially built in for them for assistance and the time to do it. And as an educator, it's that time to think and to practice and to learn it. And we learn it by doing it over and over and over again. And a support system within each school, too, so that teachers do not fear going to an administrator. Because most of my, the principals I know are all very supportive of their teachers. I just want to ensure that principals do not look at their newer teachers and say, well, because you can't handle this, you're going to be marked down on your evaluation. I don't want that to affect their evaluations either, their VCS.
I'm just, thank you. I know. I think where you're kind of sliding off into how we use the time.
But I also want a guarantee to make sure that time, and because that's the idea of the delay, that we wouldn't have time to implement all of this. Do we have the time, if we do adjust this time right now? I want to make sure there's quality in there, because we're talking to Mr. Aiken about quantity. I'm making sure that we have the quality in there as well.
Okay, and I'm certainly, regardless if we didn't do anything, we'd still have that same. We'd still be talking about how we're going to use the extra time.
But do we have the time between now and when school starts?
I get it, but that has nothing to do with the schedule, because between now and the time school starts is the same time, whether we change the schedule or not. Do you see what I'm saying? We have those same challenges that you just said.
Well, if we do change it, they have more time at the elementary level. I just want to make sure that time is used for what they need to use it for learning, and not just...
Right, and that would be phase 2, which I would certainly expect to come back and give a report of what the work that committee does as well.
Okay. Absolutely. Okay, Ms. Wright, did you... I thought I saw you nod your head at me, but if you did it, no. Done, Mr. Colon? No. You all fight about it. That's okay.
So, as far as the schedule that's being proposed, I'm fine with that, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Miss Haynes. I'm sorry. I keep looking over at that. I'm sorry, Mr. Colon. I do not mean to not be going back and forth.
And so we are in a new
tennis match.
We are in a new meeting, and so how do I feel? I think that, as I mentioned before, there are things that we had no control over when these decisions were made. And I still go for what our teachers and the folks that are most affected by this are saying, that it's too much at once. I can't say I'm convinced, and again, I wasn't here at the time when the decision was made, but based on what I heard today, I'm not convinced that it's got a lot more to do than transportation, so that's my takeaway. And again, I wasn't here before. I do have concerns with the fact that we have asked folks what they thought, and folks came back and said majority delay. We asked them, here's 3 time situations, and we are choosing something totally opposite. And there's no doubt that we ultimately have the say in what we decide. However, I think based on the discussion we had earlier, there are still lots of moving parts, which if those were resolved, I would probably feel very comfortable with this, but we still have a lot of moving parts here that, because we are not in a workshop right now, we haven't even talked about. We haven't discussed this at length. We haven't really truly dissected this and gotten feedback from stakeholders. It was, having been at one of these meetings, it was heartbreaking to hear when the young lady said that the committee was not privy to the fact that there were transportation opportunities different than the ones proposed, because I had that conversation with the superintendent several times, and I asked, can we please ensure that that group understands that the run times may be changed? And so because I had that conversation, I'm kind of concerned that they were not privy to the fact that there were choices, yet today, because we are the ones making the decisions, we're talking about these choices that are available, which were not available to them at the time, because those were said to be non-negotiables. And so if they were told that the run times were non-negotiables, then they didn't have the information that they needed. Again, there's way too many moving parts, and I think that we as a district are not prepared to make these with a sound plan to make these changes, even as they are proposed today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright.
So I want to make sure that I'm clear.
Yes.
Are we asking about this time, or are we asking about the delay? What is your question?
Well, thank you for asking. We can, if you would like. The question is, Do we do it? Do we do, well, I know what's coming first, the chicken or the egg here. But if we are going to change the schedule, that the schedule in front of you, this on the screens, would be the schedule we would go to, okay? And because after looking at all the data and this is what we believe is in the best interest of students. And that's why we're going with this schedule. And so the only other question that remains at this point is, do we vote on it now and just vote to change the schedule, and it will start in August, which according to my calculations is more than 100 days from now, and I think it's a good time to do it. It gives everyone plenty of time to make their arrangements and do what they got to do. So I'm all in favor of moving forward tonight, so everyone will know and not have to worry and stress and fret and go through it. If we don't do it tonight, it starts off the whole year again with worry and stress and fret and how they're going to change it and what are they going to do and when are they going to do it and da-da-da-da-da-da. So I'm just thinking, we asked for input, we got the input, we've looked at it, transportation as able to accommodate us. It's a great schedule. Really, it's just, elementary-wise, it's just about the same. I think it's awesome, and I don't know why we would hesitate. So, that's how I feel. So, I don't know whether, Ms. Wright, you were asking, I think what we would end up doing, someone would make a motion, someone to make a motion that we adopt this new schedule and that it take place in the fall of 2019. That would be a motion.
Okay. So I think I kind of misunderstood because I thought we were just looking at this at the time, and I was like, this schedule works for me. Yeah. As far as the delay, I don't mind delaying into 2020. I really don't. But I do want to go back to the slide that shows that actually most of the community, the parents, and the students prefer that we did not delay. Listen, that's why I wanted to put them on the board, because we may not like it. The biggest actually came from Volusia County staff who did not want to delay. But as far as the community members, the parents, and students, the majority did ask that we move forward. Delay. I don't mind a delay. I do hear the issue with 2 textbooks and the thing. I just think we do need to make very clear what time. And so I am in favor of the time. I don't have a problem with the delay, because I think if we know the time, we can then go ahead and craft everything we need to do, and everybody understand that 2020, this is the time. We won't be discussing the time anymore. This is the time. That's my take.
Okay. So, yes.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make the motion that we delay until 2020, giving us the opportunity to go through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and everything we need to do, and that is my motion.
That's fine. There's a motion. Is there a second? All right. So, Ms. Cuthbert, you had your hand up?
Mrs. Haynes hasn't spoken.
Ms. Haynes had her hand up. Okay.
It wasn't until today that I found out what the real reason why, when I asked why, because we weren't here to hear the why. I am happy that we have a better understanding and a clearer picture of why. I too am disheartened because I did attend some of the committee meetings to find out that the committee members didn't really know the why. Because we did kind of send them, we invited people to that committee, and they went in with a blank slate, I guess, with no real direction. And I think part of it is because we weren't sure of what the direction was. As far as what's happened up to this point, I am so appreciative of everyone that sat on that committee and volunteered their time and met, because without them doing that, we wouldn't even be to this point. And I know that they gave a lot of time and they poured their hearts into it and didn't always agree. I'm happy to see that we put out a survey, you know, but when you sit and read the comments, they're from one end to the other. They're make a change, don't make a change. I want my high schooler to start later. I want to make sure my elementary child is safe, which are all the things that we have talked about. I appreciate that as we worked through the workshop this morning, or earlier today, that we tried to be true to elementary and make the least amount of change there as possible without, other than adding the 30 minutes, because that is the group that depends on their parents absolutely to make sure that they get to school. 5- and 6-year-olds have no other options. I've read a lot of the research about the high school. I feel that, you know, the current time that we put up here is probably better for high school. I would have liked it for mine when they were there. I still struggle a little with our middle school times, I will be honest with you, and I do realize it comes down to transportation. But Mr. Aiken, I will say this, you know, thank you, because you walked away from 80-minute run time, you know, between run times and 65 minutes, and I appreciate the work that you did for that hour and 10 minutes and the work that the transportation team did to put what's best for kids first. I think tonight what I'd like to leave with, regardless of if we choose to implement now or delay, and I'm not opposed to a delay, okay? But I'd like to walk away with already a time so that everybody could plan for that, and they would, whether they've got 100 days to plan or we've got 465 days to plan, I'd like to walk away, because to respect the people that sat on the committee and gave all their time, if we just choose, say, to delay, and then we keep making them come back and keep rehashing this, at some point, unfortunately, there's no way to run, pick up two, you know, we can't run middle and high together or elementary and middle together. I mean, we don't have that option to be able to give everybody a perfect scenario. So that's my feelings on it this evening, but thank you to everyone that
Thank you,
put
Ms.
their
Haynes.
time in.
Ms. Cuthbert.
Mr. Chairman, let's, if I just have a suggestion, let's have two motions. One to accept or not to accept the time, and then one to either to implement August 2019 or August 2020.
Sure.
That's very good.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm not, my only hesitation about voting for the time without implementing the time is there'll be time for people to want to change the time, if you know what I mean. I mean, are we going to be asked to send out another survey, you know, with this time on it, and another time, and another time? I mean, can you envision? Well, you asked the people last year who did it, and now those people maybe aren't even in school. Those high school kids are long gone. So you're using, you came up with a schedule for a group that, you know, it's a whole, you know how we change things, Miss Cuthbert, from year to year. I just think when if you like what you see, and you appear to like what you see, I would suggest to you that we move forward, because holding it back, I don't see how anything good. If the decision, Ms. Cuthbert or Ms. Haynes, were to let's hold back on the implementation of the math book or the reading book because it's too much, if we're imposing too much on the teachers, you know, that's work. All those 5 things we talked about, that's extra work for the teachers. The schedule is not extra work for the teachers. It's just the different time of coming to the job and a different time of leaving. But we're not, you know what I'm saying? We're not imposing more from you on the job. That's going to be the same. All those heavy demands that we're saying, guess what? Those things are in the pipeline, and they are coming down. So I just don't want to think that if you don't change the bell time, that it's going to make life easier for the teachers. They're going to have a heavy load, particularly in elementary, no matter how you do it. And I agree with Ms. Wright that from the community standpoint and parents, they said, do it. I mean, if you're going to do it, just do it. Just do it, and don't, you know, keep us in this limbo thing again. 8:30 time is better for high school, right? Right. Then why would we not want to put next year's high school students on a better schedule? Mr. Kalan.
And the reason why not, it's not only because of the students, it's because we're doing the SIS, and we're doing the ERP, and we're doing math, and we're doing reading, and we're doing mental health. That's the reason why. And again, I've said it several times. I understand that when the board made the decision, those things were not on the table. It was only math, and we probably at the time didn't even know what the mental health component was going to look like. And so fast forwarding to today, I think that the decision this board is led to make is a whole different scenario than it was when at the time it was. And as far as the vote goes, ultimately, yes, we did do the survey, but everything we're implementing is absolutely opposite to what everybody agreed to, because the high schoolers selected the 7 o'clock time. And so, you know, and I realize the importance of, and so I actually like this, and I think that if there's going to be any changes, it's going to be operational changes on our side, not necessarily because anybody wants to. I like these times. I think they're great. I just don't think that the operational aspect of it has been thought through. We came up with this 30 minutes ago, and now it's in front of us. We haven't had time to ponder it. We haven't had time to find out from the different departments. We have a whole year to potentially to prepare for this, and I think we'll do a whole lot better job. And next year we won't have ERP, we won't have SIS, we won't have math, we won't have reading, and that's why I think it's different.
I hear you. Again, my argument is, as it was before, if this is good for kids, why would you postpone it for another year? Our elementary day is exactly the same. Parents will love this. Yay, they didn't change the elementary day. High school, we are doing it because it's best for kids. And Ms. Cuthbert and I have looked at each other and talked about this for a year. And the middle school thing just works out fine.
Oh, and may I make a comment? The
Ms.
high school
Cuthbert.
kids didn't look at the 7 o'clock. They're looking at the 2 o'clock exit. That's what they were looking at. That's what they were looking at. No, but this is very similar to option 1.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Yep.
And going back to the requests for comments, there was, and also in the survey, option 1 and 3 were usually neck and neck, where option 3 was a little bit ahead because a lot of the high school students who participated, a lot of them did, they wanted that 2 o'clock exit.
Right. Absolutely. And you can't tell with the parents either that voted for option 3. Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the bell schedule.
A motion to accept the
bell schedule, the 7:50, the 8:30, and 9:30. That's it.
Second.
Just the bell schedule.
You second it? Mm-hmm. Any discussion about the bell schedule?
for implementation this year?
No, nothing about implementation, just the bill schedule.
Okay, so what we're kind of saying is we like the spell schedule.
Yes, we do.
All right, I'm not going to ask if there's any discussion. We've discussed it a lot. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed. So we unanimously approve of this schedule. Mr. Aiken just gave a thumbs up. And,
implementation. And so in hearing this, reading the comments, looking at both public, students, parents, I do agree with you, Ruben, that I do think it is a bit much in a year, which gives us a time. I do think, Mr. Chair, I agree with you. I really do agree everything you said. But I think this is an anomaly this year that we got so many things going on. And I do believe from what I heard the last hour, there are things in-house we need to logistically work out before we roll out this plan. So therefore, I would make a motion that we implement the plan for the 2020-21 academic year.
And I will happily second that.
Okay, Mr. Cullen, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on this motion? I see wrinkled faces, but I don't see any hands up or anything.
Mr. Chairman, I think a lot of us are divided. There is an awful lot coming up, and that's why I was talking to Mrs. Hazel about it. And I do appreciate the ones who came to the dais to discuss what they have to say. And what a lot of this is it affects registrars. It affects, as somebody said, the McDonald's down the street. It affects a lot of people. I don't know what are the ramifications of putting this off for another year. I would like to know from our superintendent, is this something that you're comfortable with?
I'll work with the will of the board.
Well, I know that, but still, but I would like your educational expertise.
Well, what I do like about this schedule, it is very close to option one, which was said earlier. And it does mirror the elementary day, what the parents are already used to. It's a longer day, and that's what you often hear because childcare is an issue, and so you've extended the day till 2:30. And I do, I love sports, and I understand some of the pushback we would get regarding secondary or high school starting at 8:30, but academically, that is the right thing to do. So I fully support that. We will have to do work, in my opinion, with the start time with the middle school day, because I know the buses are to arrive at 9. I can see them arriving at 8:50, and so what do you do with 11, 12, and 13-year-olds for 40 minutes? And so, we'll really have to work that piece. However, we've had a hard time getting our middle schoolers to after-school tutoring. And so this is our tutoring opportunity there. And then also get them involved in the school and clubs and athletics and things like that. So there's potential there. But if the board votes to delay, that we can work with that. If the board didn't vote to delay, we could still get this put together. We have 4 months. We're ready to roll out if you voted to move forward the times and then getting that out to the people of Volusia County and the businesses and the local governments. You have to remember, we approach the community and civic leaders and also our chambers, which means businesses. They knew that they were expecting us to change times for next school year, but the district can work either way with the decision of the board.
Would this give the Florida High School Athletic Association time to reschedule, knowing that Volusia County is going to be starting later?
Well, other districts start later. And when we went to school, sometimes the cross-country team had to leave 7th period to get on the bus, and that's going to happen. So we're going to have to expect that. But, the more things change, they really don't change, So
Well, Mr. Chair.
Things changed. Yes.
And having been at one of the high schools, one of the principals brought up, master scheduling. And so what they would do is they would work the master schedules to make sure that that student's not in an algebra class on 7th period, knowing that they run. But we'd have the time to prepare all of that. And so, I am in favor, and I'm glad that we did stick to something. I'm okay with that. But now we have a whole 465 days, thank you, Jamie, for the math, to figure all of this out and do it right.
And one of my concerns with the 7 o'clock start time, and you cannot have an AP class at 7 in the morning. You'd have to move that later in the day, and you would really have to manipulate the schedule.
It was hard to have it at 7:30.
Yeah.
So,
Ms. Haynes, yes. Thoughts?
here's my only thing. 100 days, 465 days. 5 new things on their plate. If we delay, which, like I said, I'm not opposed to, we're delaying, we're giving lots of times for planning, but if we don't delay, we did just build 30 minutes into the elementary day that I agreed when you asked, though, would it be that the teachers had the more planning time? Because with 5 new things coming at elementary teachers, which is what I've said from day one, is we need to be very thoughtful in the training that we're going to provide. We need to be thoughtful in the support that we're going to provide, and we need to give them that time. I said we need to give them back early release afternoons, that it's not scheduled for something else, but that it's scheduled for them for the 5 initiatives that they are facing. So the delay is not giving that extra. I'm really torn here, because one part of me says, give us 465 days and work it all out. And another one says, but we're already going to drop the 5 things on them. And yes, they want the textbooks, and I'm thrilled that we listened, but we didn't give them any more time, and nobody's truly made a commitment yet that we're going to give them back their early release days, which we brought up and said, don't schedule, don't plan those days for them. Give them the time to do this. And so that's where I'm torn.
Okay, just want to clarify, because it changes a little bit next year.
Ms. Hazel?
I'm talking about the contract.
That's 15 minutes.
Ms. Haynes.
15.
Yeah. Because the one thing that works out rather nicely, whether it's this schedule or the same schedule, it doesn't matter, is according to the contract, the teachers are going to have additional planning time each day. I think at least up to 1 hour a week to 75 minutes a week, additional planning time.
Contractually, we, regardless of whether the students attend 30 minutes additional time or not, the teachers would have an additional 15 minutes next year.
Daily.
So that's an additional 75 minutes.
Right. Now, I'm going to have to do math on the spot, so don't hold me to this. Where I foresee the issue with the delay and the contract piece of it is that we did negotiate that an elementary teacher's day would be 300 minutes of instruction, 45 minutes of planning, and 30 minutes of lunch within there. And we would have to work with VIEW to talk about the 45 minutes of planning, because we do have schools that have to run a 7-period rotation of special area, and the 45 minutes is not feasible for those schools. And the way it is now, the way we've always run it, is that it was a 35-minute minimum. So that we would have to look at. None of these problems are insurmountable. We can work either way. I think probably my own hesitation, the reason my eyes got really big, Ms. Cuthbert, is with implementing 5 big things. You are right. And we were very clear on the survey with the teachers that this is a heavy lift, and we recognize that. I'm a little hesitant to guarantee seamless with 30 minutes or without 30 minutes, because I can guarantee we are committed to problem solving. I can guarantee we will work with anyone who contacts us and has an issue, and we want to make them successful. Seamless makes me nervous.
Right. Does either schedule affect that challenge that you have in front of you?
The seamless implementation challenge?
No. No. I mean, whether the schedule stayed just like it is right now or the schedule changed to whatever.
We may have different issues, but there's issues either way.
So if I heard you correctly, if we stay and we delay the implementation for a year, the issue could simply come where some teachers will not get the 45-minute block of planning at the elementary level due to needing to do 7 rotations of special area.
Right, right, because the students will be in school for 6 hours and 10 minutes. And if we have 7 times 45, what is that?
Don't look at me. I'm an English teacher.
I don't
even have anything to write on.
That's 315.
That's 315 plus they need, plus the special area teacher would need a lunch time and a planning time. So they would also need, so we would need another 55 minutes. So right, they would not be able to do a 7 period. I mean, that would just be.
So what will we have to do?
We do have schools that only run 6 and do run a 40-minute special area. We do have that now.
So what does that mean that we have to do because of the contract?
An MOU.
What did you say?
An MOU. We would have to do an MOU to look at, and we would need to sit with Elizabeth Albert and talk through. I would need a little better math than what I just gave you, and really look and see if I'm understanding the direction of the board, maximize it.
And my whole point is just, this is the challenge, whether it's this schedule or any other schedule. It doesn't matter.
Because if you think about it, and I know that's really confusing, the additional 15 minutes for teachers then would be placed on the ends because the student day would stay the same, if that makes sense.
Okay, so to clarify that, 15 minutes is going to be added to the elementary day.
Teacher day.
The elementary teacher day, regardless if we delay. So teachers are going to come in 15 minutes earlier, or they're going to stay 15 minutes later. Because that's what's in the
That's what was
contract.
negotiated. Yes. That's correct.
And then next year it goes to the 30 minutes, and we would at that point would have to go to a schedule where the student stay would extend. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah. Yeah, so next year it's built in for the extra planning.
Because I just don't want teachers to think that if we delay that 15 minutes is not happening.
No, the 15 minutes was negotiated, and then following year an additional 15 minutes, and that is contingent upon how the raises are paid.
15 minutes to. Did she say that? Rachel. Okay. All right. Okay. Any other comments from anyone? We had a motion from Ms. Wright. We had a second, and the motion was to postpone this until the fall of 2020, I guess we were talking about. And again, my final word on it is it's a good schedule. It's good for kids. It's good for kids all the way around. It's better than what we currently have. Why would you postpone something that's better for children? You have a motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Let's Let's count it again.
3-2.
3-2. That motion failed.
Motion fails.
So now we need a new motion. One of you.
You voted against it, I need to know.
Yeah. The people that voted against it were Ms. Cuthbert, Ms. Haynes, and myself. People who voted for it, Ms. Wright and Ms. Cologne. So
The problem is you're using my words against me. You're using the words that I use all the time.
Okay. I need a motion to implement the schedule.
I make a motion that we implement our new school times for the 1920 school year.
Thank you. And now I need a second.
I guess I must second it.
You are by default, Ms. Haynes.
I'm by default.
Discussion.
This is the issue, and you're using my words against me. What is best for students?
Heard you say that.
And that is where I live. I have to live with what is best for students. Mm-hmm. And sometimes as adults, we don't live where what is best for students. We live in what is best for adult world.
Mr. Person.
Mr. Cologne, yes.
And so what is best for students is that we do this in the most calculated way possible, having planned it out with a solid plan to implement. That's my feeling. And I don't believe and nor do I trust that we can do this in 100 days.
Fair enough.
So, Ms. Hazel.
Yes.
I'm going to put you on the spot here because we have to do what's best for kids. You're sitting in a job role right now where this is going to fall on your shoulders. It's not going to fall on our shoulders. Honestly, with everything else that is sitting on your shoulders, can we do this and implement it correctly for students? And that's what I mean. Like, we cannot harm children in making these decisions. And I believe that schedule is, at the moment, unless we had a windfall of money and bought a whole lot more buses, the best schedule we can come up with at the moment. But can we implement it so that it is best for students? And you need to be honest, because it's going to fall on your shoulders and your team's shoulders. And if you can't do it, then in 100 days, then I can change my vote.
Oh my goodness. Okay. There are a lot of moving pieces, and you are right. A lot of those pieces do fall in right here in my department. There are some that don't, so I'm going to not own those. I'll speak for the ones that do. Like, there are extended day decisions to make. There are these, can we work with the committee to have a schedule that uses these minutes? Yes, that we can do. Can we implement professional learning for the 5 changes and use that effectively? We have a plan either way for that. Can extended day work to make these changes? Yes, we can work to make the changes. Honestly, and I'm just being completely honest, and I may have an appointment first thing in the morning with Mr. Russell, and that'll be okay. Honestly, either way, at some point, someone's going to be unhappy, and there are going to be consequences for someone being unhappy, either way. So I really feel like, and I'm not trying to just throw the ball back in your court, but I'm going to throw it back in your court. I really feel like either way, it is there is that risk, and we will I can commit my department to do whatever we need to do to problem solve, and that is what we will do. And it is just a matter of how long do we want to continue the discussions, or how long do we feel we need for the discussions.
Yeah, from an operational standpoint, real quick, I'm just going to dovetail on
Sure.
Rachel real quick.
Because really, it affects your department more than anybody.
Quite a bit, so it does. So, you know, I think the team we have was great. I think that moving forward for phase 2 and then phase 3 implementation, you know, I've got a dedicated team just like you do. We're going to work very hard to make sure it gets done. It does impact my operation, the whole operations division. We worked through this as we were moving through and getting the recommendations from our committee. We've already looked at based on different scenarios that we presented this evening and what we needed to do to tweak all of that. Starting tomorrow morning, probably me a little bit tonight, but tomorrow morning we will start working those plans. And like Ms. Hazel said earlier, we'll be presenting this as much as Mr. Russell wants us to present it and tell you where we are.
Right, and what I do know is if I'm in a little bit of an odd position because I just went to a really good session, and I just heard a debate between two people who I admire very much, Vivian Robinson and John Hattie, and they were having a debate about how long do you wait. And oddly enough, the session that I was attending was Slowing Down Change to Make Impact. And they were having a debate about how long do you wait. And what was said at that conference was, build your relationships around the work, make the change now. You have kids who are in the situation now. So I don't know if that helps, and I will back out, but I will say this. My team is dedicated to making things successful, and we will adjust and make changes as we are directed.
Thank you. Okay, we got a motion on the floor, and we had a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
So the motion passes, and the schedule will start in the fall of 2019. I want to thank the audience. I want to thank the committee once again. I want to thank all the board members for a long day, a very thoughtful day. And this meeting is adjourned.